Welcome to the Themidnightburn, the Bible Belt's fastest growing crime channel, and that's all thanks to y'all that share and repost these videos. You definitely want to stay for this one, folks. This case you're about to see never was publicized. There's absolutely no information out there about the events you're about to hear either, which honestly makes it even more chilling, so let's dive in. Tonight, we venture into the Mississippi Delta, where November fog clings to back roads like secrets, and where a simple breakdown became something far more sinister. Mark Stevens was the kind of man you'd want as your neighbor. 41 years old, built like the oak trees that dotted his Mississippi countryside. A surveyor by trade, a constructor by choice, and a hunter by heart. In Nesbit, Mississippi, a dot on the map where Memphis bleeds into the cotton fields, Mark had carved out his American dream. A wife named Sherry, a 16-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old son who waited for Daddy to pick him up from daycare every evening. Mark didn't just survive in the wilderness, he thrived in it. Friends said he could track a whisper through the woods, could read the land like scripture. This was a man who never got lost. Never. November 30th, 2004. The air hung thick with the promise of winter. Just after 1 o'clock, Mark shook hands on a deal for a used white Jeep Cherokee. Freedom on 4 wheels, or so he thought. But the Mississippi mud had other plans. Half a mile from home, 30 yards east of Oak Hill Road. That's where the Jeep surrendered to the hungry Mississippi clay, one wheel buried deep, like the earth itself was claiming its prize. At 4:21 p.m., Mark's cell phone connected to his daughter's voice. "I'm stuck," he likely said. "Tell your mom I'll be late getting your brother." Those may have been the last words his family ever heard from him. By 5:15, neighbors saw Mark wrestling with mud and metal, a man and his machine against the elements, a battle as old as time. But by 6:30, when another neighbor passed, the Jeep sat empty. Mark Stevens had simply vanished. 8:30 came and went. No Mark at the daycare, no Mark walking through his front door, just questions hanging in the Delta air like smoke from a dying fire. The DeSoto County Sheriff's deputies found one set of tracks in the mud. They told a story. Mark had walked to a house under construction, a house he'd been working on. Up the hill in muddy boots, then back down. And then, nothing. The tracks simply stopped, as if Mark Stevens had been erased from existence. For 3 days, the machinery of hope ground forward. Planes circled like mechanical vultures. Ground teams walked shoulder to shoulder. Canines swept the area with noses that could smell secrets buried 6 feet deep. But the wilderness kept its silence. "He's not in this area," the commander finally declared. "We've covered it thoroughly." 48 days later, 2 young riders on ATVs found what an army of searchers could not. 350 yards north of where Mark's Jeep had surrendered, a small creek held its secret. The fingerprints confirmed what everyone feared. Mark Stevens had come home. But here's where our story takes a turn into the impossible. Coroner Jeff Pounders, a man whose job was finding answers, found only questions. No injuries, no signs of struggle, no indication of how Mark entered the water, or why a man who could navigate any wilderness would wander into a creek instead of walking the half-mile home to his family. Most troubling of all, no evidence that this expert outdoorsman, this survivor, had even tried to save himself. Mark Stevens wasn't unique. Across America, good men, family men, outdoor experts, survivors, vanish from roadsides only to be found in creeks along the Mississippi River, with that same impossible signature: no struggle, no fight, no reason, and a clean system, except for the same out-of-ordinary substance that was found in Mark Stevens' toxicology. Could this be the works of a serial killer? The coroner's transparency was rare, but the questions he raised echo across hundreds of similar cases. Men who should have survived, who knew better, who loved their families too much to simply give up. Yet here they lie, beneath waters that offer no answers, only silence. In Nesbit, Mississippi, a family still wonders what happened on that muddy November evening. How does a man disappear half a mile from home? How do tracking dogs miss a scent trail that should have been clear as daylight? How does an expert outdoorsman drown in shallow water without a fight? The Mississippi mud keeps its secrets well, but somewhere in the Delta darkness, the truth waits to be uncovered. Mark Stevens was supposed to pick up his son that night. He never missed. He was that kind of man.